This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back, folks, to another episode of It's About Payroll. We got a great guest on today, William Davis. But before we get into that, let's talk to our in-house professional partner in crime, William. Walter William Duncan. I always forget what order your name goes in.
Walter William Davis. William Davis, not this William Davis. William Davis is my William Gibbons. I was about to kill a lie. William, so like that's my uncle's name. It's not. But yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good, man. No complaints. Glad to have William Davis on the show. To talk about leadership and the
leadership,
specific things and stuff. So I'm excited for that, man. How about you?
Same here, man. Just great day. Got a lot of great things on the horizon that I can't wait to announce and start talking about. I'm excited about that. Yeah, that's about it, man. What you got for any news for us today?
Yeah, so just thinking about the idea that you had about us. We talked about financial fitness from our personal way, right?
Right.
And so you mentioned let's say stuff about to the payroll. Let's speak to the payroll and HR professionals and how they can how they are uniquely positioned to help save their company's money.
Yep. Absolutely.
And there are creative ways to do that, right?
Yeah.
So one of there's a bunch here on this list that I have. I'm only gonna go through a few.
How about maybe just one? Because we gotta save.
Okay.
Because I want to do it every episode.
Okay, so
we may mess around and run out.
So this is the interesting one, right? It's to save money, do internal hiring, promoting.
Ooh,
right?
Ooh, I like that.
A cultural internal mobility and upskilling. Leveraging your existing talent to fill vacancies, reducing recruitment, and improving retention.
That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. But I don't know if is that called succession planning. Definitely in that vein.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So I get. And this one I have the credit to Denise Caballero. She is building her own brand called Paycraft out there. She's going to be consulting in the near future, and she actually gave me this one, and want to give her full credit of it. She actually had connected with Tiana Neal in Human Role, right?
Yep.
Show that we were on, and we had Tiana on our show.
Yeah.
And I think you'll like this one because we were at one point whatnot, but payroll pros always get like these tax notifications from whatever jurisdiction talking about, oh, you owe us from Q3 of 7 years ago, and blah, blah, blah. And depending on the amount, the company might just pay it, you know what I mean? And just be like, oh yeah, fine, whatever. Or you just load it to handle those things for you, and you just kind of forget about it because the vendors are going to pay it. But she said, I don't know what, we're going to have her on the show soon too. And I don't know what Spidey sense gave her the inkling to stop and call. And mind you, it was several thousands of dollars, in the tens of $1,000s, if I remember correctly, the notice to pay the difference that they owed. And she's like, she called, worked through the details with the jurisdiction and the agency, and came out paying like $300 because it was an error on their end. And she gave them all the proper filings that they had done then. Like, here is what we did then. Here it is again. And they fixed it, and boom, $300 or something like that.
Wow.
Like, just and look, I'm guilty of doing that. I'll get a notice, and especially if you're like new to a company, you weren't there at the time of the notice, you might not have any background, and you're like, oh, let me just send this to the vendor and they'll take care of it. But the vendor, you don't know what, you know what I mean? Trust but verify. You know what I mean? So that was a great way that she just saved her company a lot of money. And I did tell her, I was like, this is a perfect payroll fitness tip that I would like to share with payroll pros. And, folks, if you in need of a consultant that is super intelligent, you can reach out to her. She's gonna be on the show in the near future as well. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. Nice, man.
Moving to a horn.
Mhm.
Any news in that front?
No, man, not really. I just want to define what succession planning is that you mentioned
Ooh,
earlier,
okay.
right? So it's
Go
a
for it.
it's a strategic process used by organizations to identify and develop internal and fill critical roles when current incumbents leave, retire, or they're promoted.
Okay.
So yeah, in a way,
Okay, so sort of
yeah.
like it. It's kind of in that vein. Yeah, that's cool. There's a few things. I mean, by the time this show posts, it'll be super late. But today, or in the last 2 days, today's the 18th. It was for August 18th, 2025 of our recording. In the last like 24 hours, it was hacked and personal information leaked. So it is just no shade to Workday, but more so a call out to the education that's needed and cybersecurity education that we constantly need. There is no 100% prevention of cybersecurity. The only thing that cyber pros will tell you is education, right? Be mindful of what's going on. Lock your systems down. I don't know. I didn't. Maybe we'll throw one of the articles in the show notes, but didn't read through it. Not that I don't care, but a breach is a breach. You can definitely up and see how they breached and whatnot,
Yeah.
and safeguard against that as much as you can. But it's just a call out. Like Workday is one of the big names out there, so it doesn't matter how sophisticated and elite or big and your organization is, or how secure you think it is. If a hacker wants to get in, they're gonna get in. It's like back in the day when you ever remember the club for cars? You put the club on the wheel,
Yes.
like that bar that you
Mhm.
lock it, right? And you put the
Mhm.
club on there.
Mhm.
Like, I remember doing that for my first car and whatnot, feeling like, yeah,
Yes.
my brother,
Secure.
my brother was like, we grew up in New York, right? I was like, look, this is this slows them down, and it could be a deterrent. If they want your car, they're going to take it.
Yep.
And I was like, as a new driver, a young kid, I'm like, what? It was just like, nah, this is again, it's like a deterrent because they see it and they're like, whatever, and it'll slow them down.
Yeah.
But man, so yeah, another day I'll tell you at club.
Oh gosh.
But want to move on. I want to share one more thing too. So Pete Tiliaco's analyst and just powerhouse influencer in the payroll world, puts out a payroll professional confidence index every year. And this year's came out in the last couple months. And I want to share a couple from it that I thought were very interesting.
Nice.
He surveyed over 600 payroll folk, like 30 countries, something like that.
Wow.
Really, yeah, really amazing. So just share some stuff from it. It's free. So if you want to, look up Pete, and you can go on his, and you'll find quickly a link to the document. And so one of the things I'm going to share is in his presentation is the state of payroll operations.
Mm-hmm.
The 17% of payroll operation companies, teams are functioning in a transformed state, right? Meaning they've gone through some payroll transformation and they're functioning at that state. 17%. It's a good amount, but it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, because 51% are unfit to support strategic direction. Okay. 32% are delivering a high level of strategy impacting value. 69% lack confidence that their organizations are doing enough to unlock the full strategy impacting value from their payroll operations. 69%. It's those big numbers that really jump out, the 69% and the 51%. So it's really still, most organizations are not performing. Let me rephrase. Most payroll departments and organizations are not performing at their optimal. I had a leader, shout out to O. O'Connell. He was our leader for a long time, one of the best I've ever worked with. And he used to say, optimal and there's optimal, so that means 51% more of the teams out there are just not functioning at their tip top. And that's it's an eye opener, you know what I mean? And look, it could be exciting though too. It could be like, yeah, you know what? Shoot, my team is like that. How do I perform better? How do I do better? Read this in confidence index, and you will. He does lay out how you can get better, tools to get there. And one of the other things I wanted to share was the most impactful digital enablers. So these are digital things that are helping teams get better. And some of them are like, oh, yeah, no doubt. But some of them, there's still a lot of companies that are not doing this. So the number is 5 of them. And number 1 is cloud platforms, right? Operating payroll in the cloud. Number 2 is workflow automation and RPA. I gotta look it up. I'll come back to it. He is mobile employee self-service and mobile manager self-service. Number 4 is analytic reporting, and number 5 is digital payments. Right? Again, some of these things you think, oh, that's a given. They're not a given for every company, clearly, because 51% are unfit to support strategic direction. 69% are lack the confidence that they're doing enough to do these things, right? And probably don't have them. So the confidence index is long, right? We can, I'm sure Pete did a show about it where I'm gonna keep dropping little tidbits here. The next things I want to share on a future show will be like the 5 pillars of modern payroll. And it's a scorecard to go along with it. I like the scorecard because it's a whole slide of things that you can do and that you can check to see if your organization is performing at that optimal. So yeah, man, shout out to Pete doing this and just being the powerhouse in payroll. He is he's an independent how can I say, an independent entity, he's in this index. Let me see if I could read it but he doesn't have any, like, there's nobody how can I say, this is not like sponsored by a company or anything like that. So it's not tainted by any sponsors that might say, hey, we don't want you to say this and we don't want you to report that.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? Oh, no, that's not good for the
There's no biases in there, right?
There's no biases. Exactly. And the Payroll folks, I'm proud of it that we were a part of this index. We contributed to this information, but it is all anonymous. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm calling myself out because I'm proud to be a part of it, but it's all anonymous. It's not, payroll folk won't get in trouble because they're like, oh, you shouldn't have done. No, all anonymous. And he's really getting the truth of what it is.
Hey there, I'm Tim Boris, host of the Working Well podcast, where business strategy meets human sustainability. If you're an executive, a leader, or change maker ready to ditch burnout, build thriving teams, and drive real results, this is your next must listen. Tune in on the Work Defined Network or at timboris.com/podcast.
About payroll, man. And
That's
it's just,
good,
there's some really good nuggets in there. There's really good information there. So I urge Payroll Pros, go check it out. Go read it. It's free. It's on his website. You can download it for free. Go look him up and get it.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's great info.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely great information and give us insight. I love how everyone that we're connected to in this industry seems to want to share that information because they're all about payroll.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they're all about helping others and, pushing the conversation.
Yes, sir. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Today, we are joined by William Davis, a leadership expert, speaker, and mentor who has dedicated his career to helping people lead with confidence, authenticity, and purpose. From his early days in Future Business Leaders of America to working with corporate, academic, military, and government sectors, William has studied both the triumphs and failures of leadership to uncover what truly makes a leader effective. He's the author of How to Lead Without Just Managing, and through his keynotes, workshops, and mentoring, he equips leaders at every level with practical tools to build trust, inspire teams, and navigate today's most pressing challenges. We're excited to dive into William's insights on the current leadership crisis, the DNA of great leaders, and how all of us, no matter our title, can step up and lead. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Sir. Yeah, absolutely. Look, if you, I'm going to go off script on this first one, Walt, just to set us up. How did you tell us a little about your career? How did you?
Well, I began with Bank of America back in 1987 after I graduated from college, and I stayed with them for 24 years. And
Wow.
obviously, within that time frame, I had a number of different leaders that I was under. Some were good, some bad. And what I tried to do throughout my career was take that really resonated with me and really made a difference, and try to implement that in how I led and managed people. And, I moved on in 2011 to a consulting firm and was with them for 13 years. And then the last couple of years, I was with a major retailer here in the U.S. It wasn't one of them. They to me, are pretty sorry when it comes to leadership and management. And so if I turned 60 last year, and I said, how do you feel about the last few years of my career? Let's give back. Let me see if I can, make helping, kind of engineer to my way of thinking really succeed. And so I started this organization or my business in May, and a couple of books, and spoken a few places, and trying to, give my brand of what I feel leadership is, and seen it to this if they'll have me.
Awesome.
I love it.
I love that.
I love it.
All right. So, William, let me ask you 78% of Americans say that we have a leadership problem. Right?
Yes.
In your view, what's driving this crisis of leadership?
Well, I think it's the missing of the fact that we're all human. When I look back at the last 25 years from just a relationship perspective, think about all the changes in technology. We have gone from every bit of communication we had to be in person, right, or over the phone, and now it's text, email. People make videos, whatever. Is we've lost the art of building those genuine relationships that I grew up with as a kid. I grew up on a farm. Dad, everything I learned from my dad, it was hands on. And you think about now, and I'm not bashing technology because it's great. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I love about it, but we've got to balance it with the understanding that we can't lose a human component. Because at the end of the day, when you talk about leadership, leadership is and will always be about human beings. How do you relate to them? How do you deal with them? How do you work with them? And, we've kind of lost the art of learning how to have those relationships. Think about when you go to a restaurant, you sit at the table, and a family maybe sitting around you, and what's everybody doing at the table? Are they having conversations, or what are they doing? No, they got
On
their
their
phone
phone.
out, they got their
Yep.
pad out, whatever. So we've got to get back to the point of, human beings, their innate desires to have a relationship. Family, you have a relationship. Friends, you have a relationship. Well, it can't be any different working, because we're with people who we work with more than else in our lives. And so we've got to have that connection. And I think that's the art that we've lost.
Wow.
Yeah. Got it. How do you think this disconnect plays out in the business world, like at companies?
Well, I think it comes out in a lot of different ways. I think the first and most obvious one is trust.
Mhm.
My
Yeah.
folks always understood that I had their back, because one of the first principles I always taught them was, we're a team. We win together, we lose together. We do not, and I will not allow anybody to throw anybody else under the bus. So, if there's something goes wrong, we fix it together and we move forward. We take the hit together, or I will take the leader, right? So I think that that's the first area that we lose, because if your people don't trust you, if they don't see you as genuine, if they don't see you as, then you're going to have a really hard time leading them.
Mhm.
And the thing that I have seen is we've got too many folks that talk out of both sides of their mouth,
Mhm.
right? I'm all, hunky dory roses and all that when I'm in your face, but then, get behind their back, or, get in front of people that are the decisions maker, and it's, save me first, and I'll see about the team later if there's any sponsorship. So I think that's a big miss. And I think that's why so many people are dissatisfied with leadership in corporate America. I get real frustrated when we have people that do just fantastic jobs, and corporations have these fantastic earnings, and then it comes around to review time and compensation time, and oh, we only have enough money to give you 1 or 2%. Really?
Oh my
You
gosh.
just said we had corporate record,
Yep.
right? You can only give me 75% of my bonus. Well, we just got, and then, anybody that wants to do the investigation, you get to the corporate records, and who got the money? The
Mhm.
guys that are still at the top. Well, I got news for them. Without the people that you just screwed, then you're not ever going to be able to make the kind of money that you're going to make.
That's right.
I like the philosophy that, officers eat last because they want to make sure their people, their men, their women are fed and taken care of. And that's the attitude we need to have corporate America.
Right. I love that. I love that. It's very inspirational, William. So let's say there's a situation where a leader made a mistake and broke that trust with their team, or a company did. How can they rebuild that trust with their teams?
Well, the first thing is that you've got to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, right? You've got to now put yourself out there to make sure that they understand that you're truly in this with them, right? You're going to be willing to go to battle with them. You're going to be able to battle for them. You're going to be willing to do everything that them to do. And it's again, you become part of that team, right? You don't have to know it all. You don't have to fix it all, but you have to be there for them and help them when things are bad as well as when they're good. I very hard in a lot of situations for leaders to come back from that, because I think it's when they have the slip up, particularly if it's talking about your team's back or doing something that undermines the team. That is often an indication of an image that they have, and then it's going to be very difficult for them to earn the people's trust back.
Wow.
It's because it's an innate characteristic, but it's a characteristic that they have. Is I'm going to secure myself and take care of myself first.
Different.
Wow. So, in your book, you talk about identifying what really makes a leader. What are the core traits of a great leader?
Well, I've always told my team is that if you want to be a leader, you come to me and you want to be a leader, you have to tell me and convince me that you want to be a leader, because leadership is job, right?
Mm.
We talk about leaders, we talk about managers, and absolutely managers can be leaders can be managers.
That's
But
right.
but the discipline within each of those components is different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Management is much the task oriented, right? Get from A to Z.
Yep.
All right. Leadership, though, is all about your people, and it's being able to inspire them, help them get and willing to grow and wanting to grow and wanting to be so that takes you from the mindset of me to the mindset of them, or everyone else. And so when I say you have to want to be a leader, you have to make sure that you understand your team is a complement to you. They're not
Right.
your competition.
That's right.
Right. And I've had, any number of people through the course of the years that have bypassed me, that worked for me where I led, they bypassed me. And you know what? That's my greatest compliment.
That's right.
It is that they were able to do what they wanted to do. Right.
I love.
And if I didn't, if I didn't want to excel to be up here, but they did, you know what? I'm gonna help you do everything you can to get there.
That's right.
It's not anything that is a negative to me. And so
That's
many
right.
people look at it that way, and it's like, no, it's not. That's your greatest accomplishment. Because at the end of the day, when I look back on my career, the success of my people, and I even talk to a lot of them still today, the success of my people and being able to see them grow and being able to see them thrive, and then now pass that on to a new generation of people. Oh man, that's just icing on the cake.
Yep.
I love that. So how can organizations spot like hidden leadership potential in employees who may not fit into that traditional leadership mold?
Yeah, that's a great question, because so often today we look at leaders or people that we want to promote into a leadership role and say, oh, well, they did great on that project, or they did great on that initiative, right? So they got to be a leader. Or we needed to fulfill or fill a spot, and okay, they look like they could do it, so them in there, and never come back and ask them, hey, do you want to be a leader, right? Is this something that you really desire to do? The one that I always looked at with people is, how do they treat their family, and how do they treat their friends outside of the office? Because to me, that gave me a good indicator of, if they can't treat their family and friends, people that they say they love and are close to, with respect and empathy and with patience, then how am I expecting anybody that, is just working for them or working with them that way? So I always tried to get them in a situation where I could see them club people, or be close to or people that they say they're close to, and then see how that dynamic worked.
Wow,
That's a really
I
good
love
one.
that, William.
Yep. That's a good nugget there. On the flip side of that, what are some red flags of toxic leadership?
Oh boy. How long do we
Give us like the top three.
top three? Well, I think the first one that you look at is a person that has absolutely zero empathy for others. An example, you know,
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 125,000 bonus miles for a limited time through October 29th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends October 29th, 2025.
we have asked our people 5 years ago to start working at home, right? And it totally changed the dynamic of their life. Not just work, but personal, because especially if they had kids, they had to start doing something with their children, right? And they had to adjust to working at home during the summer when their kids were at home.
Yep.
Well, now all of a sudden we determined, hey, you know what? You got to go back to the office. And so now we've totally changed the dynamic on them back the other way. And again, if they have children, instead of feeling safe and secure that my kid's at home with me after school or during the summer, what am I doing? I am now having to find some place for them to stay, somebody for them to be with. And let's be honest, that is not as easy as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, particularly when you talk about trust of somebody that's keeping your most precious resource, your children.
Yep.
And I just, I go back over the last 5 years and I look at so many of the major organizations, corporations, and their earnings and how things work. And I ask, why are we now forcing our people to come back into the
Oh my
office?
gosh. Yep.
It doesn't make sense.
Nope.
And so we've got to be into the decisions that we make, and how does that affect our people? And
Yep.
not just at a corporate level, but how does it affect them on a personal level?
Yeah.
And then if we're adamant that, hey, you got to come back to the office, we got to be able to give. We got to be able to be empathizing with people and say, you know what? If there's certain days you need to work at home, work at home, right?
Yeah.
If there's certain days you need to come in late, come late. I had a lady that used to work for me, and for a while she was coming in late every morning. Didn't really sit down and talk with me about it. So I just pulled her aside one day. I said, is everything okay? Something going on? Her mother was in hospice.
Wow.
Okay. So what do I do? You got two options. You either be a hardliner and say, oh, well, sorry, but you're supposed to be here at 8 o'clock. Or you do the right thing and
That's
say,
right.
you know what? You do what you need to do. You take care of your mother. And then, if you have to work at home, work at home. If you can
Right.
make it in, great. We will, or if you have to take a few days off, take a week off, 2 weeks off, we'll cover for you.
Yep.
Right. It's again getting back to the human side of our people and respecting that and treating them with the dignity and the respect that they deserve.
I love that.
I love
Oh,
it. No, go
no,
right
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Ask him a question.
You just made me think of we had we did another earlier recording with another great leader, and made me think of this quote that I just read recently. Managers do things right, leaders do the right thing,
Right. Exactly.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Right.
that's what you just said, that right. You did
Yeah.
the right thing
Yeah.
there, and give this person the freedom they needed to just love on their family. I mean, come
Oh, yeah.
on,
Yeah.
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 Oh man.
Yeah. And you think about it, guys, everybody's going to have good days and they're going to have bad days
Yep.
in the office, right?
That's right.
As a leader, you've got to be able to know them well enough to be able to get them through those bad days and be able to come out on the other side in a good position.
Yeah.
I like
And if we aren't empathetic,
Yeah.
then I don't know how you ever could be a good leader, because empathy is so much a part of it. Now, I've had some people say, well, if you're empathetic, that's a weakness. No,
No,
empathy is one of your greatest strengths.
that's right. Power skill.
That's right. It's a power skill. And it speaks so much to the emotional intelligence of a person. And we talk about this a lot more than we do about the emotional intelligence of leaders. And it's a skill that we need to focus on. I will say this: you either have a number of them or you don't, and I'm not sure some of them can be taught, right? Because you're either some or you're not.
Yeah.
But you can certainly grow ones that you have.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh, yours is next. Yeah, you go.
So William, a lot of the listeners and people that you interact with probably are in formal leadership roles, right? How can they still lead and build influence without that title?
Well, to me, it's easy because some of the greatest leaders I ever worked with didn't have a title, didn't have a corner office, any of that. It's because, again, they build the relationships. They take the time to get to know people, with people, struggle, succeed with them. So it's all a matter of understanding. And again, I go back to, and don't mean to repeat myself, but we win together, we lose together.
Right.
And the dynamic of any team is the fact that you have each other's back.
Yeah.
And you work together and you help people solve problems, even if it's not necessarily your domain, right? You cross over and help people solve or help people cover.
I love it.
You just said emotional intelligence a few minutes ago. What's the role of emotional intelligence and self-awareness in leading effectively, especially without the authority?
That is a great question. I think the first thing I would say is that you understand that helping others, being there for others, is not a negative on you, even if they surpass you, even if they get accolades that you don't get, right? You've done the right thing. And hopefully if they've got an emotional intelligence to them, they're going to pay back, right?
Mm.
Or, even if they don't, hey, great lesson for me, right? In how I treat others. So to me, that's, I've always encouraged people, don't look for the payback in it, because what goes around comes around, good and bad. But, certainly a young lady that worked on one of my teams, she didn't work for the bank. She was part of a consulting firm.
Mm.
And, she was so funny. She'd always be sassy with me, and, I'd be grumbling or something. She goes, "Oh, bless your heart." Like, and for a while I was sitting there saying, well, that's awful sweet of her. And somebody pulled me aside. She's mocking you, right?
That's right.
Oh,
And so
gosh.
I got her back. Because I loved her so much and I respected her so much. I hired her. When I had a role, I hired her
Amazing.
and brought on my team. And several years later, we were traveling, and she goes, "I got some news I have to tell you." And I said, "What?" She goes, "I'm pregnant with triplets."
Holy moly.
And I go, "Oh, bless your heart." She goes, "That's not funny."
It's so good. Oh, I love that.
But you when you treat people the right way,
Yeah.
when you do the right thing,
Yep.
then it just, one, it makes you feel better. It's people gravitate towards you. right? Whether they realize it or not, whether you realize it or not, they gravitate towards you because there's a positive energy there that you're giving off, a positive vibe that you're giving off, and people want to be a part of it.
Yes.
And people want from that. And so, yeah, I've told a number of, in fact, I talked to a group of college graduates at the beginning of June, and we were talking about that. And I said, guys, don't wait for the title. Don't wait for the title to set yourself apart and step up and let people understand, hey, I'm here to be a part of this team and to lead if needed and to, support if needed and whatever I need to do.
Love that. I love all those stories. Those were really, really great. So what's your advice to companies trying to move beyond management and truly develop future leaders?
Well, give up on the, hey, I'm a leader. Let me get to know my people in the office, right? Bring you in the office. Let's get to know each other. Nobody wants that, because you still have the dynamic of, I can't relax because the person that's just called me into the office is up here and I'm here.
Mhm.
True or not, that's still the mentality you have, right? So what I always implemented was, and it took me a little while to get to this point, but I always tried to get to know my people based on a level that was comfortable for them. And so I'll give you an example. I had a young man came to work for me and great kid, funny as could be. Everybody loved him, but he was always so nervous, always worried about being fired. I'm like, I just hired you. I'm not going to fire you, you know? And so I just finally said to him, I said, what do you like to do when you're not in the office? And he said, oh, I love to golf. Well, this was 30 years ago and I still golfed. And I said, all right, tomorrow afternoon, we're going to go out and we're going to play golf. So after we got off the initial shock that we could actually do that and not get in trouble, we went out to the golf course. I drive and he was real nervous, real tense, the steering wheel death grip type thing.
Yeah.
And so we got to the third or fourth hole and I mean, I shanked a shot out into the woods that I still don't think they found. And, he kind of started looking at me like, okay, how's he going to react? Because some people take themselves so seriously, they throw the club or curse or whatever. And I just looked at him and I said, I hope you know that I did that to go easy on you. And we just started laughing, right? And I mean, from that point on, the whole dynamic of our relationship changed because he saw me as a person that liked to have fun, didn't take myself too seriously, wanted to get to know him as a person. And by the time we got done with that round, you would have thought we'd known each other for 20 years. And he and I still to this day, the 30 years later.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's the way I tried to approach all of my people, get them out of the stuffiness of the office to get them to a comfortable position of, hey, let's just have a talk. Let's just get to know each other. And, I got a warning for you. That's going to put you as a vulnerable person sometimes, because if you want to know something about somebody, they're going to expect to know something about you.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to, hey, I don't have any, well, I have skeletons, but I don't mind sharing them with you. Right?
Exactly.
Wow.
So, what's the best way for a seasoned leader to mentor without looking like a micromanager?
Yeah, that's a great point. So the way I always try to train my folks is they could just shadow me, right, for a little while. And then, it always started with I trust you, right? If I turned you loose today and said, go lead this group, I already trust you to do that, right? But I want to just kind of work with you a little bit and we can talk about things I do and you can ask questions. And then when I turn them loose, I turn them loose. I don't ask them, hey, what are you doing? Or how are you handling this? Or what's going on here? My only caveat to them is make sure you tell me first.
Hey, it's Libby DeLucian. If you're sick of business advice that sounds cute but doesn't actually move the needle forward, this one's for you. The Libby DeLucian podcast is where we go one layer deep. No gurus, no glitter, just straight up unfiltered talk about scaling a business, running a household, and holding on to your sanity in the middle of the chaos. If you're the bottleneck in your business or in your own life, I'll show you how to fix it. Simple, tactical, and one layer deep every time. Let's go. Visit libbyd.com and check out our podcast today.
Before I hear something somewhere else.
That's right.
That's all I ask for.
No doubt.
Is making sure. And so when I do that, they now know that when they come into my office and have bad news, it's not going to be an overreaction Monday type thing where
Right.
I'm going to rant and rave and scream and throw stuff.
Right.
It's going to be, okay, this is okay. How do we solve it together? How do we get it? Because, and I understand there's a few exceptions when you're talking about surgery, but with the exception of surgery, everything's fixable, right?
No doubt.
And I used to say everything's fixable, but I had a lady come up to me say, if you're on a surgical table, that may not be true. So I said, okay, I'll clarify from now on.
That's fair.
Oh,
That is
gosh.
fair for sure. I like that.
But and again, and then mean it, right? Don't say it, and then all of a sudden something goes wrong, and you say, "Oh, why didn't you tell me?" And then start and you, because at that point they start losing confidence in themselves. They start losing confidence in the relationship they have with you, and then that initially really feeds over to the team looks at them,
Yes.
right?
Yep. That's great stuff. So you about blind spot during some of your sessions and stuff. What is the most common blind spot that is holding leadership back today?
Oh, wow. Spots come in so many different varieties, but I would say that the biggest blind spot that I see is, again, and it's something we've already talked about, is the inability to see your team as a completion of you, as opposed to competition,
Yep.
right? And an example, when I worked for the bank, we went on a tear there for about 12 years of buying everything that was up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Report outs that we had to do for both our executives of the entity that we were acquiring. And my desire was that my team would always lead those report outs because, one, they did the work, right? They needed the accolades. They needed to, people to see, hey, these guys are smart. They know what they're doing. And if there are questions, who's better to answer those questions than them?
Mm-hmm.
But I had several leaders come up to me and say, you can't do that. And I'm like, why can't I do that? And bottom line was, if I did that, then guess what? They had to do it. And they didn't want to do it because guess what? They wanted the limelight, right? They wanted to be the go-to person. And again, when you're a leader, you've already accomplished something or you wouldn't be in that role, right?
Mhm.
You've already proven to people that you are able to do a level of work that makes them trust you and feel comfortable that you're going to help them as an organization succeed. All right.
Yeah.
Now, spread that wealth. Help your team be recognized that way.
Yep.
Because God forbid if I died, there's got to be somebody that's going to take my role. Somebody else moves on and they're in a critical part of the team. It's going to make a whole lot of difference if people have seen them, hear what they know, hear what they do, see what they do, as opposed to me now coming to somebody and saying, hey, we can't let so-and-so slip out the door, right? They know that because they've seen it and they've heard it and recognize it. So to me, that's the biggest blind spot is making sure that you are willing to share the wealth, because doing so is not a bad reflection on you. It's a good reflection because you're putting company first, you're putting team first, and you're putting the welfare of your team first.
Sam,
Love it.
I was just about to ask you if you could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to become a leader, but I think you just answered that. right? So,
Yeah.
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 I guess, before we close this out, where could listeners connect with you and learn more about your book and your work?
I have a website. It's williamcdavis.net, williamcdavis.net. It has all the information on me. It's 7 or 8 different tabs. My books are on one of those tabs. I've written some articles they can read. And then other podcasts and years that I have been on are also out there so they can listen also. And all of my contact information is at the bottom of every page. So if they want to get a hold of me, they can.
I just ordered one of your books. I'm looking forward to
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. And we play a game here, just to
Uh-oh.
kind of break things up. It's this or that. You could neither, or it doesn't matter. Just to talk about some things other than just leadership.
Sure.
Well, you want to start it off and I'll finish it up?
Yeah, I think after speaking with you, William, I think I know what you may say, but you may prove me wrong.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was reading it too. Yeah,
Okay.
but well, hey, we'll see.
Okay, so question number 1, would you rather lead a small, tight team well, or lead a large organization full of new faces?
Number 2,
Oh, the second.
large organization of people, because it's the challenge, right, of being able to get them to now meld into a team that's cohesive and working together. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So would you rather earn respect as a leader first or earn trust as a leader first?
I'd much rather earn trust. Yeah.
And then my last one for you is, would you prefer a great book that changes your thinking or a great movie that inspires you?
Oh, wow.
It can be both.
I think both. Yeah. Thank you for bailing me out there, Brian.
Yeah, that's a hard, 'cause that's a hard one. I'm like, wait, whoa. I think I want both of them also.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Coffee to power through the day or tea to stay calm and focused?
Coffee.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
Coffee.
All right. Would you rather work from a bustling cafe full of energy or from a quiet cabin in the woods for clarity?
Cabin in the woods.
Oh,
Cabin in the woods.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. I've seen too many horror stories with the cabin in the woods, so it scares me a little bit.
Well, the doors are locked.
Keep them locked. Exactly.
That's right.
And then last one, would you? Whoa, is a good one. Whoa, travel back in time to meet your younger self, or forward to meet your future self?
Oh gosh, I'm too close to death. I think
Oh,
I'd
my
have to go backwards.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love them.
We gotta thank you, William, and R. Please go check out his book. What was the website again?
WilliamCdavis.net.
WilliamCdavis.net.
I appreciate the questions. I was kind of worried that you were going to ask me, do you listen to Taylor Swift or Carrie Underwood? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make somebody mad.
No,
Wait, you Swifty?
No, I'm not a Swiftie.
I listened to it by
Proxy.
proximity. Yeah, proxy, because my daughters, I have 2
You're
daughters,
listening.
one of them liked this point. Yeah, she's very impactful. And then because I'm a football fan, and which I see you got back there too. Wait, tell us about those footballs. What's going on with that?
So collectibles. I'm a huge Chiefs fan, even though I live in the Dallas area. Fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rather that than the boys.
Yeah. But I went to the University of Oklahoma.
Oh,
And
nice.
so there's some various OU balls here with autographs on them.
Nice.
So yeah, one of them up there has Adrian Peterson's autograph that my son got when he was 6 years old.
Wow.
And it's a funny story because we had gone to the spring game
Okay.
and AD had played because, they didn't want him to get hurt.
Right.
And there were a bunch of people that were crowding around AD and had pushed my son back, because he was right up there in the front. And then all of a sudden, instead of him looking at me, man, he just goes charging right back up front of the crowd, sticks that ball up there, and AD grabs it and signs it and hands it back to him.
I love
That's
that. That's a
right.
great
Love
story.
that.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
great
That's
perseverance.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That's good. Good team too. And well, you gotta be a Swiftie by proxy also. If you're a Chiefs fan nowadays with Travis Kelce.
Oh yeah, it's part of the
Part of the
being
lore,
a fan,
right?
being a fandom, right?
Yeah,
That's part of the
Lord,
fandom
Lord.
now.
That's a-
I've been listening to her. She jumped on their podcast and it's an interesting story. She's telling about how she got her master's back and that whole journey. So definitely interesting stuff to listen to.
You cannot deny that she is one of the most gifted artists that ever. Right.
Yeah, one of the greats.
And she just, to me, it's amazing how she could just come up with a song just like that.
Yeah.
I hate to say it reminds me a lot of Toby Keith. I was a huge Toby Keith fan.
Okay.
And Toby Keith, man, he could take a situation and turn it into a song overnight with no issues. And she's very much like that.
Some of the best, right? Those are the best. Like that's what it just comes awesome.
Yeah.
So, folks, again, thank you for joining us. Thanks, William, and us.
Guys, this was a blast. Thank you.
Right? Yes, we've been really blessed. Great guests and WilliamCDavis.net. I just ordered one of your books. Can't wait to read it. If you write another one, come back on. I'll launch that one as well.
I will do that.
And before we go, if I may, Walt always gives us a great closing quote. And this one is very applicable or appropriate. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John C. Maxwell.
Yep. Can't get much better than him.
Can't get better. Exactly right. Yeah. So until the next time, folks, we love you. God bless.